a question to either of the candidates, and you can address this man.
Mr.
Dieffenbach.
You mentioned in your opening statement about the scriptural need to be Hamentashen for the forum. Could you please tell me where in the scriptures that is and why it is more significant than the Maccabees chapter about
Can I have my religious studies major cited for me?
that being the new?
I'm afraid I cannot.
Fair enough.
Could you please have your religious studies major cited for you?
I can.
Professor Sachs, you speak about Latke's bringing the community together and everything, but are you aware that Latke's nearly burnt down Hillel house last year during Passover? What kind of destructive force is that? How do you answer?
Why are we eating latkes at Passover?
As with any communal movement, there is danger in bringing people together. It doesn't happen automatically. But I think it's absolutely necessary for the future of the Jewish people, not to mention to the Kenyon community. So I think we need to take that risk.
Mr. Dieffenbach,
Yes.
you had mentioned uniformity among Hamentashen, that they are always trying to. But in making Hamentashen, the beauty of them is that they're not uniform, that they each have their personal touch. So how do you explain your presence of uniformity lacking personality?
I disagree. I would say that perhaps a better way to put it is that they have a common template, much like human beings. There's a general shape that they all tend to fall into, perhaps with a little bit of variation, some larger than others, some a little more pointy on one end. Some have fruit in the middle, some have chocolate, some have poppy seeds. I suppose I find it a really touching metaphor for humanity.
Professor Sachs, do you have an opinion on the fairly sharp divide over the Cuisinart versus hand-scraped nature of the latke and how that has a moral value to it?
I do, unsurprisingly. and I reject my opponent's perspective on the value of labor as merely romantic. I have done potatoes, and I find it very meaningful work, not drudgery. The opportunity to create food for yourself and your neighbors is clearly non-alienating labor. Similarly, I think the opportunity to do handwork in the kitchen, to not remove ourselves from the process of creating and preparing food by subjecting it to mere machines, is something that has great value beyond utility. And I think that's something to be preserved.
Both of you, actually. Could you, both of you speak to the isolating nature of the preparation of food, this preparation of latkes and Hamentashen, and how it is an isolating event. It can be isolating to be, say, if your grandmother's in the kitchen preparing food for your entire family, how isolating that can be for the grandmother.
Isolating in terms of how
How she's alone preparing food for the family, and how your particular food can combat this.
Well, this is something that everyone can get behind. You can have decision-making processes, what's going to be in it, how you're going to make it, what ingredients are going to be used. It's got a variety of ingredients. If you're making the dough from scratch, you send people out and say, so-and-so, you go get your homework, you get this, you get that. You can, while there's only one person making it in the kitchen, which I would question the value of, because I think if you're making a lot, you can really get a lot of people in there, making it, rolling it, kneading the dough, everything. But even if you went with the inefficient method of having just one person in the kitchen, there's other ways in which the people can be participating out there, getting the ingredients for you, bringing them in, making decisions.
Well, I've already pointed out the community building nature of preparing and eating latkes, as you clearly suggested. Nobody likes to eat cold latkes. So you're going to be preparing those latkes at the time when everybody wants to eat them. So chances are you're not going to be alone in the kitchen. Hamentashen can be made hours in advance when nobody else is in the house. They can be made days in advance and just shipped in from outside. That's not the case with latkes. More than that, I think the fact that on YouTube I found dozens and dozens of videos suggesting how you make latkes, but none with Hamentashen, suggests that there's a real desire to learn, which means that the grandmother is likely to be in the kitchen with her daughter or her son or grandchildren who will also take interest in learning it. So I think the opportunities for interaction there are greater. But at the same time, I recognize the problem that you raise and suggest that this is why we need to update traditions. We need to make them more contemporary. And if that means making the cooking more communal, less gender specific, if you will, or age specific, that's a good thing.
Next to you, sir.
Yes. As a mathematician and a philosopher, something has been bothering me. It seems like there's a simple answer to this question that has been lightly touched upon, but not all the way brought to light. You brought up dialectic, and as a philosopher, Hegel springs to my heart. Why can you not simply create a Hamentashen stuffed with latke? I ask you, why has this simple hybrid not been
Heresy!
Heresy! Which bogs down to humanity. Sirs, listen to me. Hear me out.
Well, in light of your comment, and in light of Professor Sachs' very moving closing argument, I'd like to say that in the spirit of the holiday tonight, let us drink until we cannot tell the difference between the latkes and the Hamentashen.
In the spirit of unity, I'll let him have the last word on it.
And we'll take one more question.
Mr. Sachs, you spoke very strongly about community, but don't you think the Hamentashen applies to a wider variety? They have more flavors. They can bring in more people who appreciate different flavors, and you can have the classic flavors like poppy seed or whatever, and you can bring in newer flavors, maybe Latke-Hamentashen. How would you argue that latkes apply to a wider variety of people than the wide variety of flavors that Hamentashen offer?
Well, variety does not necessarily build unity. And the fact that you bring a number of people into a place, particularly over something as self-interested as eating a cookie, does not necessarily generate the kind of community that coming together and eating latkes does. So while I will agree with you that there's the real possibility there, just bringing people in the same place to eat a sweet in and of itself does not necessarily create community. But I hope it will.
Okay, guys, now the fun part. So we are going to do a strictly democratic ballot in here, a raise of hands as to who wins this. And now I thought that the third option was interesting, which was, can we do where we vote for both? Is that a possibility, or is it just straight down? Okay.
Straight down.
One or the other. Okay. So we're going to go for the logic. A show of hands for the logic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 13, 14, 15.
That's not fair. She's a hanged Chad.
16.
Yes.
17. Okay, we got 17 over here. Okay.
I vote for Nader.
And for the Hamentashen, I'm in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's close. So, I believe that we have a winner. Professor Sachs.